Hello, California landscapers. It's California Cal coming to you again with pragmatic, helpful, real advice for your landscaping projects. Today's episode, I want to talk about planting bulbs. I've talked to a number of you over the years about how to best grow and control, in a controlled manner, a beautiful assortment of flowers and plants on your property. And I spoke with some of you live back in December about planting chilled bulbs. Now you have a choice when you're planting bulbs, and California Cal is lucky. I'm privileged, and I like to plant pre-chilled bulbs, whether it's tulips, daffodils, or grape hyacinth muscari. When you get bulbs from a wholesaler, you have a choice of either getting pre-chilled or non-pre-chilled. All the pre-chilled means is that those bulbs were grown in a prior growing season, but they've been chilled for a number of months, typically 3 or 4 months, so that they can hibernate, so they can store up their energy. The plant is genetically programmed to push up flowers only after it has been in a hibernation mode. So California Kim and I, we started growing our own tulips and our own daffodils about 5 seasons ago. And as you'll see in this particular patch of property, I've got 3 raised beds that are growing. And these are bulbs that I planted in December. They were all pre-chilled bulbs, and you can see that we planted bulbs of different varieties. And you can tell that from just the big green leaves that are coming through. And you can even see that although we buried them all mostly at the same depth, we have some slow growing late blooming tulips, and then we have some fast growing early blooming tulips. Different colors. We're going to get some whites, some reds, some pinks. And a lot of people ask me, hey, what's your secret? What kind of soil? How do you control the conditions there in your raised beds? And my secret mix, which is not much of a secret, is roughly a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 combination of a good high quality compost. So it would have chicken, and it would have sometimes bat guano. We try to buy it without feather in there, but about 1/3 compost, wood chips and the like. 1/3 manure, and I'm kind of partial to the EB Stone organic steer manure, but some people like the horse or the chicken. And then 1/3 potting soil, just nutrient-rich organic potting soil that's got a lot of nitrogen. Here, you'll see that I don't fill my beds all the way up to the top. And I'm quite partial to my irrigation, my drip irrigation system here that I installed. I like to have these long brown fingers coming down right over the top of each one of the rows of either tulips or daffodils. Not to soak. You got to be careful not to put too much water in there, but you also don't want this beautiful mix that I talked about to dry out. And by no means are you limited to planting your bulbs in raised beds. Here are some daffodils that were only planted a couple of weeks ago into largely the same soil mixture that I put into this ceramic pot. And the key here is to make sure that you get some irrigation into that pot so the soil doesn't dry out. But make sure that it doesn't become swampy. In this case, I've drilled holes in the bottom of this pot so that I can get really good drainage. Same is true over here. You can see that we already have some very fragrant daffodils that have already flowered, and we've got some of the grape hyacinth that popped up from the bulbs that we planted. Now, over here, you'll see that I've protected, these are some tulips that I protected with a cloche. And that's mostly critter protection. I've got California Cal has 1 black squirrel and 1 gray squirrel that like to roam around this property, and they will dig up those bulbs. Kind of to them, I think it smells and it tastes like an onion. So you got to be very cautious about not letting them in. And you'll see, depending on where you put it, you may have to run. I like to run a little pinwheel irrigation. Here are some big aluminum pails that I drilled holes into the bottom of, still using the same planting mix. And I don't know if you can see, but if you look close in there, you'll see that those tulips are starting to pop up. So even in one patch, in one area, and then over here, you'll see where I planted some grape muscari. I planted these bulbs directly into the ground. This is soil that I've been remediating over time, but largely using the same thing. Oh, and we've already got some pollinating bees down there that you can see. And I find planting bulbs in different settings, all in the same piece of the property, to be a wonderful A/B test of which particular sun profile and which water profile is best. here are exactly the same daffodil bulbs planted at the same time, but these came up way earlier. I think these are already, looks like California Kim has already cut quite a few. And you'll notice that pot, you can't see it, but there I ran an irrigator up through the rock wall and into the pot. It's almost exactly the same pot as I have over here, just with a slightly different sun profile. And you can tell if you study the flowers, you'll see the difference. The sun profile here up against the fence is causing these flowers to grow a little bit more on the north side of the pot versus the south side of the pot. So with a little bit of forethought and planning, both as to your irrigation strategy and then also the composition of the soil, and pre-ordering wholesale bulbs ahead of time, planting chilled bulbs is a great way for you to really enjoy the fruits of your labor sooner rather than later. California Cal just loves putting the bulbs down and then a few weeks later seeing tiny little green heads pop up, and then a couple weeks after that getting a whole bunch of beautiful flowers. Thanks very much to landscaper Will from Washington for asking me to do this episode on chilled bulbs. And this is California Cal wishing you all happy landscaping.